Kia ora, good evening. The Southland District Council has struck its rates and adopted its annual plan for the coming year. There will be an overall rate increase of 2.95% in the district for the year 2014 to 15. Southland District Mayor Gary Tong says in preparing the annual plan, a line-by-line examination of expenditure and revenue was undertaken, removing more than $1 million from Council's 10-year plan, which has resulted in an increase more than 2% lower than predicted. Mr Tong says Council continues to work hard to keep costs down while providing the services needed to maintain and look after Southland's communities, infrastructure and environment. The effects of the loan-to-value lending restrictions put in place by the Reserve Bank 8 months ago in an effort to cool overheated property markets in Auckland and Christchurch is causing unnecessary dampening in the country's regions too. A 20% deposit along with 2 recent hikes in interest rates having an effect on property sales in regions that were already struggling. The very reason why Real Estate Institute of New Zealand lobbied to regionalise LVR lending restrictions.
It was just going to be too hard for the Reserve Bank, they believed, to regionalise it and control where boundaries were and how it was policed.
Did REINZ go back with some suggestions about how that could be managed for them?
Wasn't the opportunity because, the Reserve Bank are very staunchly independent of everybody. And so they don't appear to listen a lot. The government lobbied as well that it be regionalised, and they weren't listened to either. What
sort of effect is it having on first home buyers now?
Well, interestingly, it's having far more effect on what first home buyers think is going to happen to them than is actually happening. I'm speaking to mortgage brokers regularly, and the one that I speak to most has told me that he has had nobody turned down.
Is that because the instructions are quite clear about what they need to go in with, what kind of deposit they do need to have, so they're not going with less than that?
No, I think that the number of people applying pulled back so dramatically because people assumed they wouldn't be able to get finance. And therefore, they have been able to obtain finance in most situations, in all the situations he's dealt with, either by approaching another lender or by people getting assistance from extended family to increase their deposit, or by the way they have structured the lending. So there's been a way around it in each case that he has come across.
What is the ideal outcome for REINZ with the LVR?
To see it go, or for them to take the broad brush away and just use it where it's required, which is Auckland and Christchurch.
Is there any way that the Reserve Bank could put conditions around anybody purchasing property through the banks in those areas, in those 2 regions?
There is, but I don't see that they have a want to do that at this point.
Addressing the problem of homelessness in Invercargill is a step closer with a $20,000 grant from Invercargill City Council. The Breathing Space Southland Trust estimates running costs of $90,000 a year are needed to provide 6-bed accommodation for the city's homeless. Those using the service could stay 3 nights, and the concept is a caseworker will connect those sleeping rough with the right support agencies during their stay. The service is needed because of the growing number of people with no fixed abode who previously would be supported by the Salvation Army's accommodation in Leven Street, which was forced to close due to earthquake standards not being met. Depending on fundraising and grants, supporters hope the service will be up and running early next year. Rocking with the Stars is back this weekend with 10 stars dancing for a great community cause, the Southland Hospice. Hunter Andrews has more.
For weeks now, 10 well-known Southlanders have danced step beyond their comfort zones as they practice for the big night Saturday. Amongst the stars taking part here in mid-practice with his dance partner Brittany Lay is Southland's very own Elvis, Stephen Wilcox. His competition includes Southland District Mayor Gary Tong, Invercargill City Councillor Karen Arnold, songstress Shannon Cooper-Garland and Southland rugby identity Jeremy Winders.
10 stars, very brave stars, and we've paired them up with 10 rock and roll dancers. Some of them very young, so you'll see a lot of aerobatic throws and all sorts of great stuff. Some of them are a little more sensible, given their age, shall we say, without giving anything away. So they've worked incredibly hard since April, and they've been training, some of them 5 times a week, some of them are only a couple, but they're all stepping it up now, and they're looking fantastic.
And it's all in aid of an all-important community facility, the Southland Hospice, that relies in part on the generosity of the people of Southland to bridge the financial gap in its operating budget.
The funds will be split between the Invercargill Rock and Roll Club and Hospice Southland. Now, Hospice Southland is 50% funded by the government, so that leaves a shortfall of about 1.6 million each year that we need to raise. So this event is just one of the forms of fundraising that we do each year.
And well, the format, it's not rocket science. Each couple has a few minutes to impress the judges.
So they've chosen one song from the Rock and Roll Association song list. Some of them have been very brave and got a very fast song. Some have been a little more sensible. So they've rehearsed to that song, which is not normally what happens in a rock and roll competition. You don't know what song it is you're going to get, you know a speed. So this has been quite a challenge for the dancers as well to change the way they would normally rehearse. So they are choreographing to one song. So you'll see all sorts of great entertainment.
And for those keen on a great night's entertainment, while all 50 group tables have been sold, there are still ticket and door sales for Saturday's big night at Stadium Southland.
So our tables are sold out, but we have door sales on the night, $25 for adults, $15 for children between the ages of 5 and 14. So anyone can come down, hopefully before 7 o'clock on the night, so we don't sell out.
Hunter Andrews, South Today News.
Still to come on the bulletin, motorists are set to save with new warrant of fitness rules and poppy production in New Zealand. Welcome back. From next week, many motorists are set to benefit from changes to the warrant of fitness inspection system. On Tuesday, 1st of July, all light vehicles first registered anywhere in the world on or after 1st of January 2000 will move from 6 monthly to annual warrant of fitnesses for the lifetime of the vehicle. For new vehicles, after an initial inspection, the next warrant of fitness won't be required for 3 years. The changes mark the second stage of a phased rollout of 12 monthly inspections. Light vehicles first registered between 2004 and 2008 moved from 6 monthly to annual inspections from January 1st of this year. A project to help Stewart Islanders remain on the island in their senior years took a step forward this week, with a property management group being engaged to complete due diligence and find the best approach forward. A needs analysis by Venture Southland has been completed and looked at options to purchase land on the island to build 1- and 2-bedroom cottages for senior island residents. I spoke to Venture Southland's Rex Capel about the project.
Basically provide the bones of a senior housing area that local Stewart Island residents can, if you like, downsize from their existing residents to these more appropriate sort of smaller residents for themselves.
So you're looking at something that's a smaller footprint, low maintenance, with a bit of garden, but not as big as what they might have on another section there.
Exactly, and therefore they aren't reliant on others, and they actually can be relied on. One of the big pushes that Councillor Ford has certainly identified is, you know, the seniors in the community actually have a huge amount to offer. You know, childcare during the day. You know, doing some sort of gardening or other sort of community-based activities. And if you lose that segment of the community, especially like for the island population, you lose that segment of the community. It's a huge hole in any community, but especially Stewart Island.
There is only 400 people on there anyway. What portion of people are at that age would they be looking at retiring?
I mean, I'm not sure the exact numbers, but certainly, I mean, not 50%, but getting up towards that.
This is not something that's like the Rowena Jackson where you have medical support on site, is it?
No.
It's purely just if you're living in the city and you downsize to a townhouse from a quarter-acre section, it's that kind of scenario.
Correct. I mean, and again, it's about the island. I mean, the island can't sustain the full-blown medical support that you would necessarily be, or you would consider, would be normal for these types of things. But it's a bit of a transition phase, I suppose, which is really about helping that community.
Are there other townships in Southland in the same situation? Edendale springs to mind.
I would suggest that depending on how this study, what some of the results of the study are, I'd suggest there may be a few come out of the woodwork. And that's one of the things with the study as well. We're hoping that it can be, if you like, replicated or be seen as a model that other communities, and it may be council has a responsibility. A number of councils actually do provide, and Southland District Council does currently in townships like Lumsden and so on, where they have, and Riverton, they have housing which is provided not just for seniors but community housing programs as well.
As far as the cost for this Rex, you've got a bit of preliminary work to do to look at the viability of it. That's being funded through Venture Southland? Yeah, the
Venture Southland director at its meeting on Monday approved a investigation assessment funding up to $15,000 for this as well. The local community are contributing around $5,000 as well. And so it's a project in the vicinity of between 15 and 20k.
It's been touted there's a couple of sections in the centre of the village that could be purchased for this purpose. Who would be purchasing those?
Again, it would depend on what the study comes back with in terms of the operating and management structure. At this stage, it would be considered, I think, from the locals' point of view, it would be great if they could be held in a community trust type ownership model, so that the ownership and retention of remains always in the community. But again, I would suppose we'd be preempting the result of the findings of the study, and that's one of the options that will be looked at. I mean, it could be private, it could be public-private, or it could be solely public, which is that community trust type model.
After 3 years of offshore manufacture, the production of the Anzac Day icon, the poppy, has returned to New Zealand. The manufacture and distribution of the symbol of remembrance, worn by hundreds of thousands of Kiwis every year, is returning to the Christchurch Memorial RSA. Until 2010, poppies were assembled by a disabled persons organisation in Christchurch. In the same year, the RSA executive opted to change the contract, and in 2012, the first Chinese-made poppies appeared at dawn parades. Now the manufacturing process has returned to Christchurch, where it had been based for 83 years prior to 2011. Next year's 100th anniversary Anzac poppies are already in production. And that brings us to a close tonight. Sport is up next after the weather. From the news team, good evening.